Now then, I picked this up a while ago. A Bosch electric lawnmower, 37 centimetres. So yeah, that's 15 inches, something like that. 1400 watts, and it's plainly obvious that it's been sat in somebody's shed for a while. And if I was to try and use it straight away, apart from the fact that somebody has cut the cable off, very close to the cable constraint, so we're going to have to work on that one. But if I was to try and use it, and as you see it's got the grass collector, there's a good chance that the bottom bearing down here might be a bit tight. In fact, yeah, it looks like it's collapsed. So we need to have this apart and see if we can fix that. If we can, that will be great. But it could be that the whole housing has melted away, in which case, you know, unless we can build it up with some sort of material, not sure what, some epoxy or something, then this is only good for spares. I'll just zoom down on that and you can probably see that it's quite badly out of line. So it could be that the bearing has got hot and then melted the case, or it could be the bearing has collapsed. The latter would be better, but there are various things that we need to be aware of. You see that hole there, and there are 3 other ones. That's the one I'm talking about. There are screws up in there, which is a bit of a stupid idea really. Yeah, and underneath all that muck there, let me just zoom out, you see where I am there? But underneath that muck there, there's a screw in a recess there. So they will be needed, well, we need to soak those in diesel. Yeah, for 24 hours, just to see. Also, let me just see if we can, yeah, we are. There are 2, there's a screw there and one the same the other side, and they're in a deep recess, and of course they get full of wet grass and all sorts of things. So I've already soaked those in diesel, so hopefully they'll come apart, yeah, which will take this black cover off. And if we need to take this extra lower piece, grey blue colour, then there are 2 screws, one either side, to take the steel handle off, and there's a retaining screw right down the bottom there, so those will want soaking as well. So basically give it a good soak in various places to make sure that you have a best chance of trying to get these screws apart, undone. I have soaked those 2 down there already, so let's just see if we can get that apart. There's, oh, we can see now, where are we? There's the cable, there's the cable, where up we go, there. Look, they've cut the wire off flush with the cable constraint, absolutely flush, which that's not very entertaining. And I'm not sure whether the cable constraint is glued on to the
cable or not. Again, worth an investigation. And this one has got a safety bar as well. Ooh. So there you go. Let's see if we can undo those screws and take this top off before we take it upstairs and start dismantling.
So I've got a posi screw here, or I've got a flat bladed screwdriver that I've ground down slightly so it will actually jam in to the posi head. There, it's gone. There we go. Sometimes, if the screws are that tight and the screws are rusty, then the posi bin doesn't want to work. Let's try the posi on this one. No. There we go. Well, that's amazing. They've come undone. That comes off. Okay, there's a lot of muck in here. Right, so we need to clean that lot out with the airline. But that's brilliant. Soaking overnight and using a flat bladed screwdriver that has been ground down actually jammed into those posi screw heads and undid them. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now I think we could do with, yeah, we just need to take this motor assembly out, and to do that we have to soak those screws from underneath. It's a really daft place to put the screws, just where the wet grass is going to be all the time. But hey ho, industrial production and short-termism. So we'll turn it upside down, soak those, and I'll get back to you. Okay. So we soak that, and this one here. And of course this one is the worst because it's right where all the wet grass moves. It's not protected at all. It's not even stainless. So it's a thoroughly stupid idea. And of course the posi part of the head tends to rot away. So it did. After I cleaned it out, it did actually come undone. Well, that's amazing. Right. They could do with being stainless though. So will these come undone? Can we get to them? There we go. That soaking obviously made a difference. Before I undo the rest of these, we're going to have to undo that nut and get that blade off. Right. Spanner. Socket. Here we go. Let's get that out of the way. That's got the screws in it. And it should be 13mm. So how are we going to undo this? Oh, there we go. Well, that's quite amazing as well. Didn't take too much to undo it. Okay. Oh dear. Melted plastic. That doesn't bode well. I think we're going to have to zoom down on that.
We might have to do some heavy plastic engineering. That does not look good. But we've got this far. Let's keep going. I have rebuilt those bottom bearing fosses on a different
mower before. That one was loose. There we go. Hopefully. Yeah, where's that bolt? Put that back in there. Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, melted plastic. Ah, look, that's interesting. Yeah, we're going to have to make a, if we want to continue with this project, we're going to have to make a bearing
mount. I think we need to zoom in on this. There, look.
So, I know what the scenario is. Towards the end of the year, you do the last cut and it's wet, and we and then the mower gets left over winter, and then in the spring you start it up and the bottom bearing's seized. Right. So I think that that has to go that way. Go on. I wonder if okay, we need to soak that round that bearing and leave it for a couple of hours. The shaft needs to go through the bearing. Yeah. So I'll get back to you when we may have some movement on that. There's the motor. Okay. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's a brake of some form. So that's the motor. And the belt has melted. So it's been running against the duff bearing and it's just melted through. So the belt's duff. And there's the number. Yeah, okay. It's just the classic signs. So let's just see if we can get that shaft out now. There we go. So there's the shaft. And it looks like on these ones the bearing goes from this side. So we've got a lot of heavy duty rebuilding to do if I want to make something of this mower. And that bearing, the inner seal had come off. Very gritty and horrible. And look, just there, where the cage has broken up. So that's shot to pieces. Yep. And of course, for most people now, well, for most people, it doesn't work. Oh, buy a new one. But we're not of that ilk, are we? So, take the bolt out. It needs a belt. It needs the cable sorting out. And it needs this bearing housing centralising. Well, that domed washer fits in that recess. Okay, so yeah, there's not a lot of this left. I'm going to have to think about this. It's the classic abuse, but I'll get back to you when I've had a good think about it. Right, before I go any further, I thought I'd better just check this motor. Are we in shot? Yes, we are. Okay, so I've wire brushed up this pulley, and as you can see, this fan is a bit bent, so it's got a bit warm. And then I've had this lot apart, the trigger, and interestingly enough, the boot is not moulded onto there, which is fine. The restraint, yep. But this just looks like a normal, as it were, drill switch from a corded drill. And I got this cable out of there because they're just a push fit. But I slid this all down the side of the cable to push the pawl, as it were, or the gripper out the way. So now I've got some more cable, and this was about that long. So we'll just change the cable. Right, where are we? Just there. There we go.
I just need to check that the motor actually runs and it hasn't been burnt out. So we need to get that spun up real tight, and then it just pushes in there, and that's it. There we go. Okay, we've got a new cable on there. Now it's just a matter of that fits in there, and this cable goes like that. Guess what I've done? And the other cable comes through and round here, but there's a plug on the end of this cable, so that's about oh well, one's come out already. There we go. So we need to put the cable restraint on, and we need to put it in the right way. There. Okay. So let's have another go. Negative. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Right, let's try again. That goes in there, and that went all the way round there to there. Fiddly. Very fiddly. Okay, and then this comes all the way around here and goes to there. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, there was that funny thing there, and I'm not sure that was in there, and I'm not sure what it does. It looks like a spring of some form. So, how do we do this? Those two pegs go through right. I've got that back together, I think. Let's see, and it's plugged in. Right, so we're getting nothing there. Interesting. Very interesting. I suppose we do have power here. Better check the fuse. The meter on continuity. Yep. Right. Plug it back in. Nope. Okay. I think we've got more faults here than is worth messing around with. What with that melted Bosch and everything. But I was going to inspect that, but let's just see if this motor is worth keeping as a spare for my other one of these mowers. So let's just have the screws out again. Right. Looks like this whole lot will just go in the box of miscellaneous assorted parts. And I did actually have a look on eBay for the belt, and the belt was £12, so it seems, but it wasn't quite the same. Alright, so the motor's come good. Maybe I put this back together wrong, but there was no sparks from the brushes, which is a good thing. So this is all a bit peculiar, this thing. Let me have an investigate. Right, I've got it apart again. It's unplugged. So that is the safety lever. Okay, so this, you press this in. Ah. Okay, are we looking at this? We can see this. Effectively, that has got to go down there. Right. And then this safety lever pushes that there. If that goes there, then it won't work. So what's to hold this round here? Not a great deal. Right, I've just twisted that spring a bit. There was this bit of something that has no, doesn't look like it fits anywhere, but it's a bit of spring. Can't quite decide where that's, you know, you think that would fit in a socket or something. Anyway, this, so that goes down and that goes like that. Okay, now this separator here is that one there, and that sits in there, and it is unplugged, so that red thing then presses that there, which is fine. So I think the problem was that sitting on top of there like that. No, I can't see where that fits. It was just laid in the bottom. Yeah. Anyway, so that goes like that. It's almost as if it's a return spring for this. But there's no slot for it to sit in. Would it fit round like that somehow? Ah, there we go. I found it. tricky, very tricky to put all this back together. So that spring pushes this lever back up, that goes there. Okay. Can you see the dilemma we're into here of trying to put this lot together? Not designed to go back, is it? Well, at least we found out where that spring went. I'm not going to make you watch me put this back together because there might be considerable amount of cursing. Okay, a few minutes later, so if I press that, I think you can now hear that switch operating. Okay, so let us plug this in and okay, so that's that fixed. That fan needs, let's zoom out a bit if we can. No, we can't. This fan here needs a little bit of attention. Still, that's a bit better. It's obviously got warm, but I don't want to break it. Anyway, so that part of it works. The belt is a problem because all the belts that I found, the serial numbers weren't quite the same. There was an X in there instead of, no, there was an L in there instead of an X. But the next thing to do is look at that moulding to see if we can possibly build it up somehow. Okay, now from the top you can see that's melted there, but we have a register of some form there, and maybe in here if we just clean all this rubbish up. Yeah, so let's just turn the whole thing over. Can we see that? No, we can't. This is worse. Okay, so that looks like a finished surface, and so is that, but in there it's melted, and of course it's melted right down here. So what would you do? In the past what I've done is I've cleaned it all up and put a load of epoxy or something in there to build it up and then build that up. But is it worth it? That's the question. Would it be better off, because you've got a bit of a register there, would it be better off shaving this lot down and putting a steel plate in there? And my phone, oh, I've just got a text, so that's alright. We have a steel plate in there with a tube fixed to it that takes the bearing. That's a possibility. But as we say, I'd like to hear from all of you, considering I've got another one of these anyway. Is it worth going any further? Interest to investigate. Just people using equipment and they don't understand. Yeah. Okay. Be interesting to hear what you think about this lot. I keep all this sort of thing. I might have picked this up 5 years ago, thinking that's a spare for my other one. And then you get time to investigate and decide whether it's worth keeping or not. Well, we've got a spare motor and a controller, and maybe wheels and rollers and all those sorts of things. But as to that bearing, I think it was
That's serious amount of abuse. Somebody obviously knew it wasn't, well, I was saying they obviously knew it wasn't working correctly, but did they? You know, some people are just not aware of what's going on around them. Anyway, let me hear what you have to say, and I will catch up with you very soon. Cheers for now.